Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 3 tips to make a good max out day. So throughout my 10 years of lifting now, it pretty much boils down to at least 3 things with me, and that's just mindset, you have to plan, and then reflection. So going into the mindset of it, I'm not going to get into you need to meditate or anything like that. You have to find your mental rhythm is what I like to call it. So for me, I just try to clear my mind of anything else that's going on, obviously, and just have a set rhythm where my temps typically take like 10 to 15 kilo jumps, and then once it gets past about 95% for me, then I start dialing it down to about 5 kilos to 3 kilos, kind of depending how I feel. So you really want to be, for me at least, helps with just being calm, but at the same time being aggressive. So it's a little bit of an oxymoron, right? But you really want to be calm the heavier the weight you're moving, because if you tense up, then you're going to do some incorrect movements there, right? But you do still want to be aggressive, because when you get to the hip, when you get to the jerk in the finish, or the extension on the snatch with your arms, right? You want that to be aggressive. You want that stick, right? You want to stick it, drive up, and nail it. So you just really want to hammer that down, right? And it honestly took me a very long time, to keep calm when the weights are basically near my max, right? I've been doing sports pretty much my whole life, and thankfully that's been smoothed out by the time I got to Olympic weightlifting. But I still get those jitters. Oh, that's a close miss at 102. But still, what my coach is telling me there, just a sidebar, is that you want to finish that extension, so how he did with his arms, right? From his eye, it looked like I was a little hesitant at the finish, and looking back on it, I was. And that's what's so fortunate. And he said that it looked like I was just mentally trying to make it perfect, trying to hit all those right positions, and that's what slowed me down at the finish. So anywho, we're going with, again, staying calm with the heavier weights, but you want to be aggressive on those main parts, right? You can't have a soft extension with the hips, because you're going to miss it. You're going to miss any heavier weight towards your mats. So I'll expand on the aggressive part. So when I mean aggressive is, again, when you get to the hip, you be aggressive with that finish, right? Aggressive, and then you pull yourself down, and then you stay tight, you stay braced, so everything's solid. On the jerk, for example, when you dip, you want to brace, and then you want to be aggressive with driving that weight off your shoulders. And once you do so, you want to stick that landing, the jerk, and the overhead extension with your arms, right? And it's the same concept with the snatch. The snatch is only different by when you hit your hips, you want to actively pull yourself down and stick the finish, right? If you're soft in any of those movements, you will miss those lifts. So number 2 is going to be plan. So what I mean by plan is, we'll go back to, let's say we're going to max out on a Saturday, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those you want to make sure you have the opportunity to set yourself up for success, right? On Monday, you want to make sure that you stay to your regular diet. Nothing really changes there. For me personally, I try not to eat out during the week of maxing out. It just keeps just mentally and physically as well, keeps my system going smoothly. I don't want anything going on with my stomach. I don't want to eat bad sushi on a Wednesday and be, puking my guts out Thursday or anything like that. I want to keep things as controlled as possible. And I know with everything going on, there's not too much socializing, but I wouldn't hang out with anybody in terms of going out late at night, drinking, or any alcohol or anything else. And I would just kind of keep any other outside factors like that, away, because you have a job to do that Saturday, right? Typically, the way I put it in perspective is that you've been training for about maybe 3 months, let's say, for example, right? For this one day to see if you can hit consistent lifts past your PRs, right? And at least for me, I take this very seriously. And the times I didn't, because that's life, right? Sometimes you mess up. So, I've had max out days where I went out the night before and hung out with friends and all that stuff, and I regretted it the next day. I left some PRs on the table, and that's upsetting. And my coach noticed that, and he kind of had a little talk with me. He's like, "What are you doing all this work for? To just throw it all away on the very last day, right? You just want to exercise discipline." Discipline and consistency. And once you hit those PRs, then that's something you can celebrate after, right? No one says you can't celebrate and enjoy life, okay? I'm not saying any of that. Just saying that you want to make sure at least that week you are in the best position you can. And, everybody has certain jitters. For me, sometimes the day before maxing out is mentally a little bit jittery. Like I'm thinking a little bit about it. I'm really trying not to. For me, I just try to distract myself with playing video games or just kind of reading books or hanging out with my fiance and all that. So you just really want to try to preoccupy at least your mind, right, with other things. Try to be more productive, clean the house or something simple like that, right? My previous coach was a little bit extreme, I think, in terms of maxing out, and he said, don't watch any action movies, the night before you max out, because your heart's racing and your body's kind of tensing up, and like you're into the movie, right? And I haven't looked in too much into that, but I believe those are some true statements, because you are kind of amped up when you're watching any movies like that. But moving on to my personal favorite is reflection, right? This is kind of why I post YouTube videos and I go over it, because when I go over it, it gives me an opportunity to kind of break things down, to kind of reanalyze from a third-party perspective, right? Because my coach isn't always going to be there, and with everything going on too, he's not going to be extremely focused on me because he has other things going on. So it's reflection has been something that I think for me has been kind of like my superpower, opposed to like getting really good quality sleep almost all the time because I like picking things apart and just trying to get better at least 1% every day, right? And it's, if I analyze the lifts that are going on right now, right, you can see from a catch standpoint is I'm going a little bit forward. Was that just a lazy rep, or was that an imbalance that's going on that I need to fix, right? Because this is a heavy weight, 165 pounds, I believe, is around like 70% of my one rep max. So, it's just, you want to make sure you reflect onto that training day, right? Were you distracted? Was there other things going on? If not, how are you doing physically, right? Like, were you tight? Did you warm up? So you can kind of go down the rabbit hole of re-critiquing yourself, and that's something that if you build the skill to do, you're ahead of the game, right? Because a lot of people need a coach for, an outside perspective, right? Because sometimes when people look at themselves lifting, they're like, oh yeah, that was good, or like, oh man, yeah, I can't tell the difference between a bad rep or a good rep, but I mean, I got it, right? I caught it, I stood up, that's good, right? A little feature with my dog there. She needs to learn how to get away from me while I'm working out. But anywho, so, again, reflection. If you don't know how to do that, then get a coach. And that coach, hopefully, I would definitely let them know, like, hey, I want to see what you see, right? Because that is a skill you have to develop, is seeing different imbalances when people are lifting, catching if their body position is out of the way, if people have longer arms, where their torso goes. There's just so many different variables that you need to learn and understand, right? Because everybody's not the same. So, again, mindset, just to go back over it again, right? Mindset is extremely important. Just clear the mind, get your tempo ready, and you need a plan, right? Physically, mentally plan, keep the week before you max out, or the week of you max out, I should say, clear, make sure there's no external variables that you have to deal with. So that's something that's, again, very important. Set yourself up with success and it'll take care of itself. So, again, reflection, just always think of different ways to get better or different ways to improve the lift. Your flaws and your weaknesses will come out during your maxes, right? And those are amazing opportunities to try to pinpoint what weaknesses that you do have in order to fix them to set you up for the next time, right? Because there will be a next time, and maybe a different body par, or maybe your positioning might be a little bit off. There will be something to critique, and that's super important. And that's why reflection is probably my most important thing to emphasize during this, is because without that reflection, how are you ever going to get better? So thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you can at least take one of these 3 things I mentioned and apply it so it can help you with a better max out day. Alrighty guys, I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.